Hi, Professor Gerald Friedman, Department of Economics, University of Massachusetts at Amherst. And we're here today to talk about the economic crisis in the cities and states. Do we need teachers and firefighters? Well, first we need a little background. The United States is different. More so than in any other country, the United States has a federal system of government with a clear division of responsibility between the federal government based in Washington and the state governments in the 50 states, the localities, etc. We have thousands of governments in this country. 50 states, one federal government, thousands of cities, towns, counties. But basically we can distinguish two levels. The federal government, which handles military defense, and the space program, some national institutes of health and National Science Foundation, and certain programs of income redistribution, notably Social Security and Medicare. And that's most of the federal government. What do states and localities do? They do education, social services, police, fire, road maintenance, prisons. Why do we have this division? You can go back to the Constitution and the debates, and there were people concerned about centralization of power, and Madison and others promised, okay, we'll leave the states alone. Alexander Hamilton wanted to do away with the states. But they said, we'll leave the states alone as a barrier against national oppression. Madison pointed out you could have oppression on the state level too, but okay. But the real reason is different, because we don't follow the Constitution of 1788. We haven't for over 100 years. We changed the Constitution dramatically during the Civil War era, when we went from being the United States are, plural, to the United States is. In French, by the way, it's still, the United States is still a plural. But under the Constitution that came out of the Civil War era, we're much more centralized, and we've been fighting about that ever since. That fight has left education and social services largely on the state level as a concession to white Southerners who wanted to maintain control over programs that might benefit African Americans. So education, social services, police remained at the state level so that Mississippi could deny benefits and deny services to blacks. You could say the story is a little bit more complicated, but not a whole lot. That's basically why we maintain this federal system. That said, look what happened in 2008, 2009. State governments' revenues went down dramatically. Now, the federal government's revenues, tax revenues, also fell. So what did the federal government do? Automatic stabilizers. The federal government just printed more money, borrowed, and kept spending. States and localities can't do that. They don't have a printing press. Under the Constitution, states and localities cannot print money. They can mint silver and gold coins, but they can't print money. And since they don't have very much silver and gold, that doesn't do them much good. Unable to print money, they can't just go borrowing the way the federal government can. So when their revenues go down by 10%, as in 2009, or by the end of 2011, real state revenues were down close to 20% after adjusting for inflation. When they get losses of revenue like that, they have to cut spending. Well, what do they cut? They cut what they spend. They spend money on education, social services, police, fire, road maintenance. That's what they cut. They can't cut national defense. They don't spend on it. So states and localities were going around in 2009 saying, okay, we're going to have to slash our budget. We're going to have to cut 10% of our school teachers. We don't want to cut police and fire, so we're going to have to cut road maintenance. We're going to have to cut environmental protection. Well, they do that for a while, and the federal government came around and said, wait, hold up. We'll give you money. As part of Obama's stimulus, the federal government made up for maybe 40, 50% of the revenue losses suffered by the states in 2009, 2010. That was huge. That saved the jobs of millions of school teachers, firefighters, police officers throughout the country. That was maybe the biggest single job creation of the Obama stimulus program, was the aid to states and localities. Then we got a problem. The Obama stimulus was really only a 2-year program, 2009, 2010. With that money running out, what happens to these school teachers? Just when the rest of the economy, the private sector, is starting to pick up a little bit, we started getting layoffs of school teachers, road maintenance workers, social workers, some firefighters, some police officers. As the public sector started to cut back in 2010, 2011, just when recovery is coming to the private sector a little bit. So the collapse of state and local government finances was postponed, but the stimulus ended too soon, or the recovery came too late. So now, in 2011, 2012, we start seeing state and local government spending dropping off just when we need to maintain it to keep the recovery going. Okay, so that's where we're going to pick up next time. Have a nice day, and thank you. Bye-bye.